Don't you fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Keep your head up, never let them get you fed up. You just step up, get your rep up, get your cash up, get your check up. The whole system's a setup. It's time we really get up. We've been about this revolution from the time we met up. Take it back, I got my fist up, Malcolm X in 88. A revolution only works for those that will participate. You are great, they are fake. Yo, it's time to demonstrate higher level mental states. Conscious people congregate, show the love, not the hate. This is basic, no debate. But these people are debating and they hating, they should wait. It was bickering amongst ourselves and got us in this state. Yeah, the truth is inconvenient, but the truth is never late. You can't see what they be doing, how they thinking, how they moving. You can't see what they pursuing, making claims none are proven. Don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it. We can see who is the enemy, sovereignty's the remedy. You don't need telepathy, it's white supremacy. Don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it. Bringing the raw, doing the talk, government officials bringing the law. You never see what you never saw. 303, open the door, knowledge reigns, that is the game. Ignorance, that is insane. Don't fall for it, the reps and the Dems are the same. This one's shooting us up, that one's locking us up. This one got us stuck, that one's out of luck. You can front if you need to, the cycle never ends. No justice, but in 4 years they hyping us again. Don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it. If you thinking and you learning and you drinking and you burning and you really not concerning with the news and what they learning, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't fall for it. If you love it, never hate it, you agree it, don't debate it. HBCU educated, your degree is highly rated. Don't fall for it, don't fall for it, don't you fall for it, don't fall for it. Yo, me, I'm not a fake dude. I'ma keep it real. They see through it all that America needs a heel deal. America ain't really sick. This is what it really is. Gunshots and cages for black and brown little kids. Now they acting like they not the cause of how we live. Do not tell me what you gonna do. I can see what you did. Look at her, look at him, look at them, look at me. Do you see our interests represented in society? No, you don't, and you won't, because democracy's a joke. Every 4 years, these same people asking us to vote. Nothing changed but the Range Rover switching lanes over. I remain the flamethrower. Knowledge reigns, game over. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Rodney King, George Floyd, man, we all saw it. So don't protest with defiance, but don't move with self-reliance. While the soul is being silenced for the religion of science. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. If you thinking and you earning and you drinking and you burning and you really not concerning with the news and what they learning, don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't you fall for it.
What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. Make sure you guys go ahead and do the ritual. Press the like, press the share button. And let's make sure you guys let me know. And also, I'm noticing too that YouTube, they'll give y'all the ugly version. I think you can go there and get the enhanced version. Yeah, select the 720 or the 1080, not the 144. So do that, share it, let me know what's up, what's going on, guys. And this one here, I've just been looking through YouTube. There's a lot of attacks, and they're coming from a couple sources of people, but it's very confusing out here, for a lot of folks that's not rooted in something. Now, one of the things that we have to realize is just because we will argue or debate on the way we feel about certain things, it's going to be in this type of world, in this type of society with confusion and lies flying all over the place. You're going to fall for something if you're not rooted. If you're not rooted, you're going to fall for it. What's up, James? What's up? Chill back. Yeah. If you're not rooted in something, you're going to fall for it. You're going to fall for all these lies. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of deceit, propaganda, major wars. There are billions and billions of dollars being put into this kind of stuff. And then they have the algorithm that's going to promote the lie. People who talking just absolute stupid, they're going to promote that. And people that, decide to try to go ahead and stand on some sort of integrity, it's going to be super hard for you to get that word out. And the thing is, that's how they maintain the power, though. So why wouldn't they do that? So it's going to be up to people. If you want to, like I said, the situation is going to actually lead to danger. So it's not going to be the consequences. It's not just going to be, oh, well, you take it your way, I'll take it my way. We part ways, and it is what it is. Some of these debates, if you're on the wrong end, I should say, and when I say wrong, I'm talking about the end that doesn't preserve your life. You're going to make a decision that's going to bankrupt you, is going to get you destroyed, or what they call deleted nowadays, or it's going to cause you to be the enemy of a lot of good people. But you're not going to even realize that you're actually the one that's not right. So how do you know what right and wrong is? So what cult are you in? You see, because everybody wants to say that somebody else is in a cult, but I'm in the right thing. I'm not in a cult because I'm different than you. I'm better. The stuff I believe in is not a cult. And they're actually insane if you want to believe that. A cult is what's the beginning of the word cult? Culture. What's the beginning of the word culture? I should say. I should have said that. It is cult. And so let me do this here. I'm looking for something too. But so, we mainly focus on the Black experience here in America. We may touch on some stuff around the world. But some of these principles can be taken from everybody. Now, we know that politicians, they live in the world of lies and deceit, treachery. So, of course, we expect that from them, right? All of these little symbols here. All of this here, we say we're not in cults, but a lot of this stuff, just because you don't know about it, a lot of this stuff organizes the stuff that you do. It organizes the things that your children go to. It organizes your hospitals. These are societies. These are little societies. They're clubs. People have a belief system in them. So, this is in response to this. Now, keep in mind, some of these things are cults, but just because we can expose this cult, it's using scripture called Bibles. In these cults, it's using the Bibles. But this thing can be taken mainstream, and it is mainstream now. Okay, the same thing that's getting people led into dangerous, what we love to refer to as cults. But if you look at what a cult really is, it's everything. Everybody's in some sort of cult. But the main thing about the dangerous cults is they want to restrict what you process. They don't want you to be able to speak back. They can't take criticism. You see, especially somebody like this guy. It's his opinion. It's only his opinion. So, and he's just one guy. Then I'm going to focus on this guy. These are, to me, these guys are in cults, mentally cults. These are people that a lot of us don't know, but I mean, they have an audience. These folks have an audience. And I always play this here. It's not just the American people. Keep in mind, this is Western world. All right, so the CIA mainly operates, supposedly mainly operates overseas. But they preach, they take over media. And how do we know that we're not the ones that are the crazy conspiracy theorists, and that we're not the ones that are off base, off kilter? How do we know this? So what I would love to do is I would take something like what I was taught, is to root myself in a fact. You have to have a stable. It's just like if you listen to The Matrix, the movie The Matrix is pretty good. But you have to root yourself in something that is actual and factual. Like in the Nation of Islam, we learn things called actual facts. This is what this man brought. Actual facts. From the actual facts, it just tells us today these are these basic things. The total area and land and water of the planet Earth is 196,940,000 square miles. It teaches us the circumference of the planet Earth, 24,896 miles. The diameter of the Earth, 7,926 miles. The area of land, 57,255 square miles. The area of the water, 139,685,000 square miles. This is the stuff Master Farrakhan Muhammad taught Black people in America. That's what he was teaching. He said the Earth was 93 million miles from the sun. This is it back in 1930. So today we take these numbers for granted. This was serious wisdom. Speed of light travels at 186,000 miles per second. The speed of sound travels at 1,120 feet per second. 120 feet per second. The diameter of the sun, 853,000 thousand miles, I should say. So what that does here is that's going to root you in, it's telling you in your religion that your religion are actual facts. That's how I was taught. Now, I understand, to me, that's Bible. That's part of Bible too. That's part of Scripture. That's part of the Word of God, the flesh that God has made His Word into. He made it real. He made those rivers, those lakes, those mountains. He made the sun, the speed of sound, all of that. So that's something we know that the enemy can't even change. So that's where I'm going to root the foundation, my stable source. I'm going to step on that fertile ground. I'm going to ground myself. And I'm going to say, okay, God is not confusion. Anything that I believe is going to have to be in harmony. It has to be possible. And I'm not just my thinking of possible, but it has to be, it has to be able to submit to the laws of nature, because God created nature, right? So that's kind of how I believe in it. And so that's my stable foundation. Now, I don't disbelieve in something because a lot of things are, what you call algorithms, or, there's some stuff just it is spoken to you in a way that is symbolic. Even reality is spoken in a way that's symbolic because it's teaching you about other stuff. But I started there because I just wanted to root us in something stable. So let's get on with some regular stories today. We'll start off with some regular stuff. I want to just touch base on this. It's just some science. So, and this is health. That's one of the things that's something that we were taught in the nation, that you want to make sure you take care of your health. There's a lot of poison out here. Keep in mind, these are science. This is science. Remember, in order to learn the words of God, the periodic table, that is a reality. Who created those elements on that periodic table? Who did that? Let me see if I can pull up one. Let's see here. Let us do some things, y'all. Let's look at some stuff because, like I said, I probably should. I'm gonna probably rebroadcast this one on Science Channel. No, because we got to be rooted here. So we look at these elements, and like I said, this is not I know a lot of people, we like the salacious stuff, but I want to root us in something, because the reason why I'm doing this here definitely is because the subjects that we go into, especially like with religion and spirituality and all of these realities, but they're unseen realities. And when things are unseen, and you have to use other means to detect them, and those other means can be confused and be confusing. So here's another unseen reality. It's called the periodic table. But of course, we end up seeing it because it is seen, because we use it. We start to understand what this is. We learn about it, because this is how you manipulate. This is what they learned about to start to manipulate the universe. We're allowed to do this. We have dominion over this. You see, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. You see how the hydrogen has that one next to it, and it has a atomic mass of 1.01 if it's lighter than oxygen. And oxygen is air. We can't even see that. So this hydrogen, it'll float in the air. You see, these are atomic mass. All of this stuff is science, mathematics. Okay. So hydrogen is a proton with an electron, one electron just zipping around it. It has a mass of atomic mass of 1, and it has one little electron zipping around. This helium, it is a noble gas. It's in the noble gases category. It's stable. 4 is the atomic mass. It's got that one proton, but it's got 2 electrons zipping around it. So that's a stable. So all of this stuff is science. But the point is, this is the universe that God created. These are literally the letters, the building blocks of the things that you're looking at, your body, the stuff and the substances that your body is using to continue your life. To continue your life. These are the things these are the letters that you should be able to read. These are the things that you should be able to spell. And remember, the word spell is putting letters together to make what? Words. And words become flesh. Do your words become flesh, or is this the type of cult we should be in? Learning how to do this science stuff. This is the God creation. These are the actual letters of the universe. This stuff here. How come you don't know it? See that? They don't organize the thing. They say alkali metal. So look at that red. All of these are metals. Hydrogen. Hydrogen, if you cool it down enough, it's metallic. Sodium, lithium, potassium, rubidium. These are the heavier metals. Cesium. They name this stuff after themselves. Alkaline earth. Okay. So when you're talking about elements, alchemy, magic, all of this stuff, the magi, these knowledges, were with our people at a certain point in time. But these are the sciences of rulership. Is your religion teaching you that? Okay. But is it teaching it? Do they use this type of science and math? Do they use that in a way to bring balance to the planet? Because there is a principle of balance. But no, they don't do that. Let's look at what they do. Let's see. Let's go here. All right, so let's read on this. So the inconvenient truth about canola oil. So a lot of us eat canola oil, drink, use it in all sorts of products. It's not an animal fat, but let's read about it here. According to the mainstream media, canola oil is a healthy. Now I might not read this whole thing, but I'll go through this because I want us to understand something. Look up a canola plant. There is no canola plant. According to the mainstream media, canola oil is a heart healthy and a good source of monounsaturated fats, similar to olive oil. Unfortunately, much of what you hear in the mainstream media hasn't been influenced by heavy-handed marketing tactics by big food companies. Capitalism. This is money. We're going to go into capitalism, what real capitalism is, a little bit later. But I want to take some time to unpack this. Canola oil is cheap to produce, so they spend a lot of money trying to convince you to think canola is a health oil, so that consumers, restaurants, institutions, etc. will buy it up as their main oil of choice. You see, this is just like selling drugs. But let's keep it going. Brief history on canola. Canola oil is made from the seeds of a plant called rape. A rape plant. And you know what? I'm going to look for this here. Let me see if I can find this. We'll look for that. Rape seed. You don't want this kind of seed. Okay, let's try that. It's not bringing it up for me like I really want it, but olifera. And I'll probably cut this off and put this on my whatever. This is where they get this from. It's way up north in cold regions. All right, so let's go back to it. Let's go back to the article. Canola oil is made from the seeds of a plant called rape, which is in the turnip family. Since the Industrial Revolution, rapeseed oil has been an important component of lubricants for ships. This is some oil you can put on a ship in your car and steam engines, because unlike most oils, it sticks well to metal. During World War II, the U.S. built a lot of ships and so needed a lot of rapeseed oil, but couldn't get it from traditional suppliers in Europe and Asia. The Canadian rapeseed industry, which had been relatively small, exploded to fill the gap and played an important role in the Allied naval effort. becoming rich and powerful in the process. But rapeseed oil demand plummeted when the war was over, and so began an intensive program to breed a rapeseed edible to humans. Traditional rapeseed oil contains almost 60% mono unsaturated fatty acids compared to about 70% of olive oil. Unfortunately, about 2/3 of the monounsaturated fatty acids in rapeseed oil are excuse me. Let me pronounce that right. Let's do this correctly. Urisic. Let's see this here. Urisic acid. And one of the things that I learned too, try not to pass up words that you really don't understand. Go ahead and look it up. Let's see if I can find this. What is this? Urisic acid. I need somebody to say this. Say it.
Urisic acid.
Urisic acid. Urisic acid. Okay, so it's called urisic acid.
Urisic acid.
Urisic acid. All right. So let's go back here. So urisic acid. Urisic acid is a 22 carbon monosaturated fatty acid that had been associated with Cushing's disease. Let's see here. All right, sorry about that. Let's see here. I had a cough and everything. So this urisic acid had been associated with a disease. So when you see canola oil, so let's just go. I'm gonna skip a little bit on this. Anybody who wants to read this, if you pull up the chat, you can come. I'm gonna type this in the comments, so you can pick that up if you want. Let me put this on Facebook. This should show you something about capitalism too, though. It's exploitive. And this is, we're going to touch on it a little bit later. So, yeah. We're going to touch on it a little bit later. All right, but I wanted to put that in the chat. But the point is here, we're going to swing down a little bit more. In 1978, the word canola was invented to describe a new type of oil seed that was selectively bred from the original rapeseed to have significantly less urisic acid. This new oil was developed in Canada, and named canola actually comes from the term Canada oil low acid. In nature, there's actually no such thing as a canola plant. And it goes into how it became mainstream. It's toxic. It's very hard on your heart. If you look at some of those baby formulas, they put that stuff in there. They put this terrible type of oil in. This is the reason why even vegetarians, you're getting sick, you're getting heart problems, high blood pressures, and stuff like that, because you're drinking basically machine oil. You're using machine oil. And so there you go. So, but that touches us on capitalism a little bit. Now, what I wanted to do too is that's just showing you how confusing this society is. Now, the society, you're thinking you're doing something healthy. Instead of just doing the right thing and doing something healthy, they come up with something different to try to trick you to death just so they can get a little extra money. That's the mentality on this society. So let's look at this here real quick. Cornel West, he announces his 2024 run for president as People Party candidate. Okay, whatever. So for some reason, these guys are angry at Cornel West, but I don't really care. But let's listen to it.
Saying that, and he laid out his strategy very clearly, saying like, is to be to Trump's right, particularly on COVID, kind of social issues, wokeness-ish stuff. I think he wants to court evangelicals. I think he wants to win over evangelicals, saying, look, Trump, I know he delivered for you, but he has questions about abortion, how far that's gone and everything. And you weren't ever really comfortable with him anyway, right? He's not a family person. I am. And then COVID for the more, less religiously inclined Republican primary voters. I think that's the DeSantis strategy. You saw him talking, he was talking on a conservative news radio program over the weekend, DeSantis, saying that, and he laid out his strategy very clearly, saying like, I loved what Trump was doing in 2016, 2017, but it went off the rails, and then he really got rolled on COVID, and it's not the same person as it was back in 2016, and that's why I'm stepping up. Mm-hmm. That's his pitch, not Trump is a maniac. I hate him. Like you can't. That doesn't work for Republican primary voters. The pitch is that Trump himself, wandered off the path of the MAGA policies that Trump outlined. And
do you think that's going to be effective? Because we saw after the Twitter launch in Donald Trump's statements, he tried to reclaim some of that COVID ground, pointing out that Ron DeSantis had closed down beaches and complied with some of those early COVID policies with everyone else.
The vast majority of people are in the sensible middle. They're not the far right.
All right, so let's let that little commercial go. But the point is, we see how this politics game is trumping up. It's really going to be Republicans against Republicans. It's going to be these conservatives against conservatives because, this to be truthful, the Democrats, they're pretty trashed out because they've betrayed their base, which is black people, and they've done it too much. We just don't like them.
Presidential nomination in 2024 is steadily growing. And some allies of Donald Trump believe that is good news for the former president, who declared his candidacy last November. Candidates like Senator Tim Scott and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are jumping into the race, joining the likes of Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Asa Hutchinson. Other candidates may still announce they're running in the weeks before the first Republican presidential debate, which is scheduled for August. Trump is currently leading in the vast majority of national polls of GOP primary voters, thanks to his continued support within the party. And strategists believe that a larger field of candidates will ultimately mean voters are less likely to rally behind a single alternative to the former president. While there are some key differences from 2016, it is reminiscent of that cycle when a large and fractured field of candidates allowed Trump to capture the nomination, thanks to his fiercely loyal base of supporters. One key difference this time is...
so they're not getting him out. He's going to get back in there, but it doesn't really matter to me because, the Democrats are trash. We got to get some reparations in order for me to be worried about any of this stuff. But I thought they was going to talk about Cornel West. Cornel West even jumped inside this race, which is another dagger in the heart of the ignorant, dumb Democrats. Progressive candidate, activist Cornel West announced 2024 campaign. Me and Leroy talked about this briefly, and really, it's to me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't care too much about him. He supported Obama a little bit, but he did criticize Obama. People got at Cornel West for the little light criticism that he gave Obama way back then. So That lets you know how in the tank these people were for Obama, who was a nothing burger, who didn't really do anything for black folks. Or, and it's kind of set the standard of just pretending to do something, but just never, they will not do it. They will not do anything substantial for black people. And they literally treat black people as an enemy of state. They treat their enemies better than they treat, you got people, Afghanis, who've killed American soldiers over here getting government money. So that lets you know right there, black folks, how the Democrats in the United States care, or really any of these politicians, about what they're going to do for you. And that's a cult of politics. Like I said, these people are in cults. Everybody's in some sort of cult. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I just wanted to touch on that. Now, this is the main thing I want to go into. I want to go into, let's look at some of this here. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. Let me go into this here. Now, the main thing on this one with this cult stuff is this religion thing. I want to go back into this guy.
From another star system.
Hold on a second. So this particular guy, this Thoughts Camera Action guy, we're going to touch on him some more. Because he's just, that's what he loves. He's just out here trolling everybody. I guess he wants the attention, but maybe he's genuinely came across something that he thinks that he's uncovered. And it's just interesting when somebody first comes across something that people have been trying to tell him about for a long time. And they just see something. He feels like he's making these connections. So now he's just like screaming at everybody. He's almost like screaming at everybody. He's mad at Dr. Mumbi. He's mad at all the other cults. He's going after all the cults, he says in his mind, cults. He's just, So I want to go, and he's going after even the black identity. Nobody's black, everything. So let's look at this latest thing. Keep in mind, guys, this is fair use.
And a lot of people have gotten emotional.
Now, Dr. Mumbi, for people who don't know who Dr. Mumbi is, let me do this. So let's look at this here. I'm going to find this for you guys just to explain a little bit about Dr. Mumbi. We'll pull up her channel. Now, and keep in mind, I don't agree with everything any of these people say. So I'm not agreeing with everything anybody say, but what I'm saying is that we better learn how to have these type of conversations instead of just jumping off at each other. So let's do it this way. Let me go here. Let me share the screen. Like I said, guys, go ahead and press the little thumbs up. Make sure you share the message on your social media. And, just let me know what you're thinking. But this is Dr. Mumbi. She has a lot of shows, a lot of videos. She's been doing it for a while. She was doing the news at first, and then something switched her. Now she wants to go off on the spiritual situations, the spiritual side mostly. She's actually from Kenya. She, I believe, was educated in she is an actual doctor. She was educated over there in Britain, and she went back to Africa. So, these are the kind of stuff that she has a lot of different shows, a lot of different stuff on her shows. Right now, she's focusing on more spiritual stuff, but I don't know if I could show y'all from way back if she even has, if she has one of the old channels. I don't know if she can. Oh, there she is. This is her old channel. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, so this is her old channel. This is her mostly news channel, but so she would have interviews like this.
Wake up, Africa.
Yeah, she visited America one time. She visited New York.
And see the sun. Open up your spirit.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hey family, what's up? Yesterday we got the amazing opportunity to interview Claude Anderson, and he had a lot to say about the situation.
So
Come back to the African continent. It's time for us to globally unify. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll be perfectly candid with it. I got a lot of my friends that are extremely Afrocentric. You're going the wrong way. You're trying to run up a one-way street. If you're going to acquire any power, any input in a global market, you got to identify first with America. And your key element would be engendering the power and wealth into a black, native black overclass in this country that would serve in the same respect that Jews serve right now around the world.
Yeah.
What happened to Jews around the world is dictated by the Jews in America. Because in America, the Jews got about 1% of the population. But they've been able to manage to control major industries like the diamond industry, gold industry, book industry, movie industry, legal industry, printing industry. It's controlled by Jews, even though they're 1% of the population.
Wow.
And so here you are with 24% of the population worldwide, and in America, you're 13%. You control nothing.
Yeah.
Because the Jews stick together. They make.
So Dr. Claude Anderson dropped some jewels on her, but this is Dr. Mumbi. All right, so she's been on spiritual, and she's met with a lot of people. She says some interesting stuff, but what have you? She says a lot of good things too, but some stuff that I don't agree with, but I don't need to. Here's something: Fall of Babylon. Yeah, she identified the sacrificial thing that's going on in here.
A very costly sacrifice. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a picture. If it's here, then it hasn't been scrubbed from the internet, of Barack family.
Wow.
Rocking up to some party in a Moloch costume. You think that was just for play? You think that was just Halloween? Like, let's get it on? Some heavy rituals are being.
Now she's from Kenya, and so she has access to Obama's family and all that kind of stuff. So if Obama is dressing up as Moloch, he wants the Africans to go ahead and sacrifice their children to him. Wow.
Done behind the scenes. And for me, what this shows on a spiritual level is that this principality called Moloch is being shot down. And you could look at all the legalities. Please do the research. They're saying that if they were to make abortion illegal in the divided states, it would basically overturn abortion rights. The decision would go now to the individual states, and they would be the ones deciding, whether to allow abortion rights, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many nitty gritties, but it's not about that. It's not about that.
So, Dr. Mumbi, she does a lot of good work. To me, she does a lot of good work. And so it's interesting. This guy, TCA, he wants to pick a fight with Dr. Mumbi now, which actually she was on the Hebrew Israelite. She was on that spiritual line for a while, which was interesting because he claimed he was on that spiritual line. But I guess he so-called, maybe he looks at her as a traitor. I don't know. But here it is now. He's attacking Dr. Mumbi.
And a lot of people have gotten emotional and they said, no, Yah gave us the 10 Commandments, blah, 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 blah.
Bruh.
So once you have the land, beloveds, identify a tree or a plant or something and create a shrine around that for your ancestors from that land and ask them to reveal themselves. Bruh. And if the 10 Commandments are fine for you, great, beloveds, then don't even waste your time on my channel. Like, bruh. Adam did not come first, beloveds. Bruh. Because a God so mighty should be strong enough where you can dig deep and ask and figure out the origins. And if you know it, great. There's actually a book, I think it's called Black Root Science.
All right, so we're going to go into this book a little too, because that's one of the good things about not cutting off people who you disagree with. Because people who you disagree with, even who you really disagree with, they're going to do things to try to prove their point that you would probably never think of. And either they're going to actually prove their point, and you're going to have to just accept that they are more correct than you in XYZ subject. Or they're going to expose stuff that you didn't know about. So, I'm looking at this here. I never seen it because I don't watch Dr. Mumbi like that, especially her spiritual stuff, because I'm not all into her spiritual stuff. But she is African. This is important. But this right here, I didn't know that she did this. So this book here, this Black Roots Science book. Okay, this right here is, I had to get this book because I should have known about this book. And I didn't know that but people do this all the time, but we'll get into a little bit further. What I don't like is if you disagree with someone, like even though I disagree with Thoughts, Camera, Action, I'm gonna try not to really demonize him personally, because I think that he's, just from looking at his content for years, actually, I think that he's sincere in his belief, but because he is in a cult, and some of this stuff that he's coming across is actually probably attacking maybe the foundation of what he's believing in. And so he's probably a little bit angry. So he has to try to prove and try to, just show that everything else from what different than what he thought is wrong or something. He's got to try to make it look silly. Like he's taking her out of context here. Yeah, you can take anybody out of context and make them look stupid.
Love it. Identify a tree or a plant or something and create a shrine.
Look at that. He just cut her off. Identify a tree or plant or something. Then he cuts her. And, so he's not listening to what she's saying. We're not hearing what she's saying. We're hearing the pieces that it finds important. So that's not really her. That's her image, but it's not her. It's his narrative. And that's one of the things that we got to understand when we're dealing with these images here. We're moving into a world where it's very confusing. Well, we've been in the world where it's very confusing, but it's like we can really see it now. You can really see it. The way somebody can cut, manipulate, censors this and censor that, play games with the images, cause you to think this, cause you to think that, and you're thinking it, and they're installing thoughts that are not actually yours. Because if you would look at the full context, maybe you would have came up with a different conclusion. See, this is disinformation. But I want to go, let this play on a little bit. And keep in mind, like I said, this is fair use. We'll see.
For your ancestors from that land.
And also keep in mind, anytime you got to turn off your comments, you don't want to hear from the opposing views. So what does that tell you? You want to stay in your cult-like mentality. See, a cult, they're going to ask that you don't read other outside material. They're going to ask you not to avail yourself. You know, that's what they do in cult. Anyway, that's what they do. They want you to, you're not allowed to consider this information. You're not allowed to consider that information. They don't want anything different going into your head versus what they told you. So let's look at some more.
Ask them to reveal themselves. Bruh. And if the 10 Commandments are fine for you, great, beloveds, then don't even waste your time on my channel. Like, bruh.
She said that the 10 Commandments are not enough. That's what she said. I mean, that's, you know, okay. And maybe they're not. But that's what she said. She said that, you know, just not stealing, lying, just not doing these things are not enough. There's things you should be doing. Okay. That's an argument. That's a debate. But to cut somebody off and just start off the impression, and I'm thinking that this guy is a trained cinematographer. So he knows how to start off the narrative to try to, you know, make a person look ignorant. But, you know, he's kind of overdoing it, in my opinion.
Adam did not come first, beloveds. Bruh. Because a God so mighty should be strong enough where you can dig deep and ask and figure out the origins. And if you know it, great. There's actually a book, I think it's called Black Root Science. It's online. It's a book I always give to anyone who supports us or joins our Patreon. Bruh. I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, in your own story, family.
Aleister Crowley, known as the most wicked man ever, came up with the saying, "Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." And this.
All right, so now here, thoughts, camera, action. He claims he's provoking thought, but he's provoking the thoughts that he wants you to have. First off, you're not supposed to listen to Elijah Muhammad. Don't listen to Farrakhan. Don't listen to Philip Scott. Don't listen to Dr. Mumbi. Don't listen to anybody. But who is this guy he got us listening to? Edited with introduction and by I don't even know who this guy is. So we might have to check into that. But he's got us listening to, and keep in mind, you know, it's a cult. It's cult signs. You see. But that's also a star. So I don't know. So, but this is what they got going on. So let's finish this. He got us listening to this white guy hit this white man's narrative. But there's no proof. It's just Dr. Mumbi is crazy. But let's listen to this guy tell us about Alexander Crowley, who is a Satanist. So he's, you know, we know that.
This is the root of Satanism. This is Crowley's gospel, not God's.
So do what thou wilt. Do what you will. But there's another section of stuff that you told us. Now, that's very interesting because he just contradicted themselves, because do what you will. Do what thou will is Alexander Crowley's gospel. Interesting.
Bob Dylan said, you're going to have to serve somebody. Well, it may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody.
Yah gave us the 10 Commandments, blah, 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 blah. The 10 Commandments are too basic.
All right, so he goes into a lot of different stuff. All right, I want to just go through a few things on this here. Because I can't show, I'm not going to show his whole video, but he just kind of trashes the woman.
Because one woman turned her in, her daughter.
She may talk as if she's a God figure.
Then he kind of equates her with bad behaviors in other, he kind of puts them together. He kind of associates her with people who she's not really related to.
Person, but don't let that fool you.
Yahushua also said that deceivers would come in his name. For false Christs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect.
And it kind of leaves you totally drugged out to do anything in your own world, if you get my drift. And there's so many lies, beloveds, because everything has been inverted by the Babylon system. So every story is told, is back to front, and upside down. And I was shocked the other day when I got an extremely long email from an African brother who was trying to tell me that, my show on women and male versus female power was totally wrong because, women came from the rib of men. I'm shocked, beloved. The people still believe that.
Now, this is the question I need to people. Do people still believe? I mean, if you believe it, that's fine. But there are people that don't believe that the actual woman comes from an actual rib of a man, that God just pulled this woman out of this rib. There's people that believe that's symbolic. There's a lot of symbolism in the Bible. Okay? So, but I know we've been taught literal, but whose cult are we in? Because is it just because we heard it this way first that we believe it, or is it that we have actually investigated it? I mean, is it possible that the words is true, but it means something different than what we were taught? This is something that we got to ask ourselves. That's why it's very confusing, because we can just decide not to investigate stuff and just believe the way we were taught just because we were born in this house, in this state, and we went to this particular church, and that's the way they taught it. And that's it. Everybody in the whole planet need to understand it that way, the way that I was taught. Well, the thing is everybody wasn't taught that way about that same exact story. Okay, so, that is something that, that everybody has to deal with themselves. But, if you disagree with that, then what I would say you would do, if you have a channel, she has a channel, you disagree with her, then what you would do, you're very articulate, brother. You just go in there and you just show why she's wrong. See, here's the word. It says rib. See that? This is the scripture of God. Prove that. And this is why she is wrong. That's what you do. But, I understand people want to keep going. But that's what everybody should do. You have to, go. You can't just, you can do it, but really to me, it's just a mask. By you just kind of making fun of the person, that means that they're saying a truth that you really can't deal with in a intelligent and factual way, or you didn't even try.
really believe that narrative, that's crazy. And that shows you just how far the brainwashing and the indoctrination goes. Adam did not come first, beloveds. And the reason I share this, family, is because
Listen attentively to the sales pitch.
time is of the essence for you to end your religious psychosis.
Listen.
Now hold on. A religious psychosis. Let's look up what psychosis is. I want to look this up. Let's look at what she said. So what is psychosis? Psychosis refers to a collection of symptoms that affect the mind, where there has been some loss of contact with reality. Now, Dr. Mumbi is a doctor. She's an educated woman. So she used a word. It's time of the essence for you to end your religious psychosis. Now, a lot of people didn't know what psychosis meant. I didn't know exactly what it meant, but now I'm understanding more of what she's saying, and I can agree with this definition. If you're a collection of symptoms that affect the mind, where there has been some loss of contact with reality. During an episode of psychosis, a person's thoughts and perceptions are disrupted, and they may have difficulty recognizing what is real and what is not. Okay? Psychosis. This is the reason why I rooted us earlier in something real, science. And when I say science, I'm talking about actual fact science. Because I can't disagree with her. Time is of the essence. But, you know, he's a smart brother too. So he's not going to just listen to her. She could be right. He could be right. And this is the problem with a lot of us. Just because we're good at debating and arguing, we're not concerned about what's actually the truth that God wants us to follow, because you're going to get rewarded when you follow the truth. Now, I'm not saying that she's all the way right either, but she says we should be ending our religious psychosis.
To what she's going to promote and how she's going to act as if she doesn't really know what she's promoting.
There's actually a book, I think it's called Black Root Science. It's online. It's a book I always give to anyone who supports us or joins our Patreon.
So if we look at this book that she highly recommends, they say it's not a religion, but a reminder to Black people
who is this talking? You see, I don't like that. Now, TCA is a smart fella. He doesn't just tell us this himself. His voice is good enough. But the voice that he wants us to listen to is as an authority is this guy, this white. It sounds like a white person's voice.
who've forgotten their glorious heritage. But we'll see that this truth.
So Black Root Science is a modern day book written by an African griot. He was sent by the elders of his community to America in order to help the people of African descent understand the situation they're in today.
All right, so now the interesting thing is he found, which is this is what made me get the book, because this guy did plagiarize the Nation of Islam. But TCA finds what was taught by the Elijah Muhammad in this book, and it is in there. But the guy, and I read it, but the guy gets a lot of stuff he gets it wrong. So he actually kind of just make up some stuff, but we can prove where it came from. But it's interesting that because now that Thoughts, Camera, Action has availed himself to Message to the Black Man, this is interesting to me that he has to go back to this book because he was laughing at it when he was reading before, talking about this is the Bible. But notice how he has to go back to page and verse of Message to the Black Man, because what he's seeing is he's seeing that this word go out into the world. And even though people they're kind of plagiarizing things, but what it is this is how God gets some of this truth out here. It's, the enemies think they're mixing it up, but it's just like the Bible. All the Bible, King James and them, they were mixing stuff up. It's the same thing. But, let's listen to what he says here.
Now, the Most High has, in my opinion, a sense of humor, because when I was doing this presentation or research, for whatever better word, at this point, I kept seeing parallels between Dr. Mumbi and the Nation of Islam, especially the origin story of this guy who's written this book, Black Science. Remember, in the Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, he talked about Wallace Farrakhan being a divine prophet, messenger, God, being sent to America.
Well, he didn't say that he was a prophet, but he was God in person.
So that they could.
And he wasn't sent. He came by himself. He wasn't sent. It's very important. Master Farrakhan Muhammad came by himself. He searched the earth. In English lesson number C1, he tells you, my name is W.F. Muhammad. I came to North America by myself. Okay, that's very important. He says, my uncle was brought over by the trader 379 years ago. My uncle cannot talk his own language. He does not know that he is my uncle. He likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. Why does he like the devil? Because the devil put fear in him when he was a little boy. Why does he fear the devil now? Since he is a big man. Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong food. Does that have anything to do with the above question number 10? Yes, sir. That makes him other than his own self. What is his own self? A righteous Muslim. So Master Farrakhan Muhammad wasn't sent to America. But I don't expect him to get those kind of details.
And understand the situation they're in. He also called them, the tribe, his community, to America in order to help the people of African descent understand the situation they're in today. Now, the Most High has, in my opinion, a sense of humor, because when I was doing this presentation or research, for whatever better word, at this point, I kept seeing parallels between Dr. Mumbi and the Nation of Islam, especially the origin story of this guy who's written this book, Black Science. Remember, in the Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, he talked about Wallace Farrakhan being a divine prophet, messenger, God, being sent to America.
Okay, so I'm looking for any part on these pictures that he have on this paper, on this screen. There's no part where it says that Master Farad Muhammad was sent. So it says that Allah, he used Allah in person against the will. See, you know, black people of America have been swallowed by the slave masters who are a race of devils, says all-wise God Allah, and now refuse to let us go free without hindrance and hold us a prey against the will of Allah in person of Master Farad Muhammad, who now seeks our deliverance. Okay? So there's no being sent there.
So that they can understand the situation they're in. He also called them the tribe.
Now, what it is in our supreme wisdom, in the supreme wisdom, you have a little bit of language like that, but it's not Master Farad Muhammad being sent. It says to the Muslims of number 1 Michigan, following is the original rules of instructions to the labors of Islam and the title of Muslim given by our Savior before his departure, with a footnote of a few words of explanation to lay pressure upon their minds of their many errors in the past and present, that they may see the light and walk therein. So, I mean, it is not that stuff he's talking about.
Of Shabazz.
This is the book that Dr. Mumbi is co-signing.
No, you really can't make this up.
There's actually a book, I think it's called Black Root Science. It's online. It's a book I always give to anyone who supports us or joins our Patreon.
He trained for his mission from childhood and was living in the United States until 2008, helping many people comprehend and find answers to their questions. The book he wrote was composed over 4 years from his communications with people online and in person.
So if we look at this book that she highly recommends,
there's actually a book, I think it's called Black Root Science. It's online.
All right, so he keeps going over to try to get you to. And Dr. Mumbi, she met. So he keeps going back. Notice he has to keep going back to the messenger.
Was the incarnation of it. He was God on earth.
I differed with my father.
Yes.
That this is the Son of Man that the Bible says that prophesied that will come in the last days of the world, and that I couldn't get that out of me.
See, we're going to build a black nation that's going to be all wise and righteous. And we'll obey. That's right. But see, we got our own rules.
Both books. This one is What Will Happen When the Anunnaki Return in 2022. That's the first book. The second book is what I've been talking about, the Black Roots Science. There is a Facebook group that does cover this material.
This depiction, which most of our people still have on their wall somewhere, of a white Jesus. This is very, very heavy stuff because we are a spiritual people by nature. Our propensity, our leaning is towards
that there will be a return. That return is happening in this season. But they're hoping that by making Jesus a Mzungu and beating and raping and mashing that into us for generations.
Also, people along the east coast of Africa, from Sudan to South Africa.
So he goes into it. I don't want to go into his whole video, but the point is that it's interesting because there's a war of the cultures. There's a war of culture. You know, that's really what I'm looking at here, and which we already knew this was happening, and we are a part of that winning culture, the black culture. Okay, so I'm going to go into another video on his because I wanted to do it before, but I didn't get a chance to. Notice, just look at his page too. Okay, so he's mad at Dr. Mumbi. This brother actually is an Egyptian. He's mad at the Hebrew. He noticed that the Hebrew Israelites was started
As long as you're under control of other people.
by a member of the Nation of Islam, who was taught. So he's really going. He's noticing some stuff.
Means supreme in authority. That is a controller.
Now listen to this. Now remember earlier he said Alexander Crowley was the one that said, "You will do as you will be the devil's, ideas."
By implication. And what we have seen is how people have allowed people to become their lords, their controllers. Where they are not able to have critical thinking or think outside of a box. They are boxed in and can't get out and are controlled by other people.
See, as long as you're under control of other people. See, as long as you're under control of other people.
The only person who should control you is yourself.
Now, interesting. Do as thou wilt. Now, I happen to agree that you have to be taught how to control yourself, though. With the laws in this, so that you can live in the universe of God. This is God's universe. So you can't just do whatever you want to here and make it through the best way. But I do believe that you should be taught how to control yourself. But we have to go through all of this process. Now, even this particular video, he goes after, I guess, Yahweh ben Yahweh and Minister Farrakhan. He's always going after Minister Farrakhan. He's mad at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's mad at Master Farad Muhammad. Then when he found out, he's mad at Father Divine, which, I understand this is what the white people taught us were cults, but these were business people as well. Okay, because they brought a government. But let's keep going. He's mad at, now when he finds out, he's mad at the other Hebrew Israelites. I forgot what they're called, the IUIC. Okay, he's mad at them. And he's over there in Britain, angry.
From Israel United in Christ, I discovered another Israelite captain. His name is still blotted out.
So if this man is prophesied to come back, what in the world do you think he's going to do? Got to do the same thing, or he'll be another kind of man. They killed him the last time.
Incite that. Malcolm incited that in us.
She did say her phone wasn't working. Well, please check it.
So what he does is he just goes from this and that, from this situation. He goes from the worst situations in the group's history, and then just kind of highlights the worst situations as if that's with everything. Everybody has some really tough situations in life. Any group, anybody, any group's going to have that. And, but he wants you to equate that with cults. So let's, this guy act like he liked Malcolm, but if Malcolm was alive, he would hate Malcolm too. So he does identify that Yahweh ben Yahweh was a one-time member of the Nation of Islam.
In an interview earlier this afternoon, Minister Hewlin Shaw, the minister of Atlanta's Mohammed Mosque, number 15, said that things didn't happen this way. How did the incident start last night?
We were informed that they gave the brothers some instructions, began to push on them and choke some upstairs. And when this started, then the brothers defended themselves against attack.
There were reports that Stokely Carmichael was here last night. Do you know what his capacity was?
He came down simply as an observer out of interest of Black people being attacked and illegally arrested.
Is he a member of the Muslim group here in Atlanta?
All Black people are Muslims.
Listen to that. All Black people are Muslims. But he's not, and that's what we're taught. Now, everybody's not a registered member of the Nation of Islam, but that's our nature.
Is he a card-carrying Muslim?
We don't carry cards.
Yahweh's group claimed they were the true Jews.
All Black people are Muslims.
For years, they remained clouded in mystery. Audio tapes of the group's meetings were obtained by Eyewitness News and aired in a series of reports in 1986.
In Miami.
So, in this one, he highlights how, this guy broke off and he began doing some work down there in Atlanta, which was good work, actually, setting up businesses. Even though he was trying to do it himself, that showed that he was kind of like a hypocrite from the original of what he was talking about. But, it did spin off the Hebrew Israelite movement, which is still happening, which actually he got swept up in. So that just shows you how when the man said all Black people are Muslims, you're still getting caught up. You're still getting caught up in the same, in the wave. But, it's just coming to you in a different name. But I want to show this other thing on his little page. No, but the reason why this guy interests me a lot is because he does focus. He's pretty good at movies. Number one, he's pretty good at movies, but also he's very, very interested in the details of the spiritual words, and he's hyper sensitive to anything that's different than what he was taught or what he believed. And, that's natural. But, but he, to me, there's some good parts to what he does too. Because by him even taking on this subject, in his mind, he's probably thinking that he's going to try to make something look silly or stupid. But the foundation is already laid. So it's like him trying to break some concrete with his hands. It's like it's already settled and the roots are already growing. I do want to set this one, though. I wanted to try to find. Yeah, you got another Yahweh. He's mad at Billy Carson. He's mad at Philip Scott. Everybody, he is like everybody. Everything on his page though is just about what he don't like, who he is beefing with. So and this is interesting too to me because the Hebrew Israelites camps, I haven't really kept up on the details of them. I've talked to some of them, but I haven't really looked into their details. And it's a good way to learn something about it. I don't trust everything he says because the way he does, but you can get interesting tidbits from what he's highlighting. He moved this one. I was looking for the one where he was going, on black. Let me see. No. All right, so that's that. I'm not going to go too much. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, he didn't have the black thing. He was always going in on the, let me see. I guess I'll go.
I'm a black Egyptian. My father is much darker than I am. My mother is.
This is the one I wanted to touch on. I think he has a lady in here. Yeah. Because he doesn't like black. He had an African woman in here. Let me see if he got her.
Ancient Egyptian population was brown and black.
To take Egypt out of Africa, make it an entity of itself, and have no connection to Africa, where everything about Egypt is connected with thousands of years of Africans' empirical observation of Nexus and that migration down to now.
نظرة الدونية التي أورثها موروثها من السابق ولغاية الآن، فينظر إلى الإنسان الأسود أنه أقل قيمة.
That the journey was so tough in Egypt, the lab is so hard in Egypt. In Egypt, actually, very much people like me cannot live in Egypt because actually we were identified in Egypt that they call out hunger. Hunger, it means that monkey.
ليه؟ من غير سبب تربوني.
Now, you're an educator, okay? Now, how do you deal with situations when you practice your profession insofar as...
This man worked in Detroit. He actually worked with my father. He was in Detroit at that time working at Wayne State. So, yeah, this in the Shrine of the Black Madonna, the Black Power movement, this guy, this particular man, this professor, did come in contact with my family early.
Dealing with the mythology or the misconceptions about Egypt being a white civilization. How do you deal with that?
This is a big problem because Egypt, the ancient Egyptian civilization was a black civilization, and ancient Egyptians were black according to the Greek scholars and the Roman scholars. Ancient Egypt became white only in the 19th century and in the 20th century. And the scholar who is responsible for this is Seligman, the noted anthropologist from England, Seligman. White supremacy argues that blacks are inferior than white intellectually. They are subhuman and they are incapable of building a civilization. White supremacy had one dilemma until Seligman came. The dilemma was ancient Egypt was black according to the Greek and the Roman scholars. 10 of them said that, including Aristotle and Plato. 10 of them.
Okay, maybe he changed his idea on the word black. Okay, because I don't see the other. Okay, so he turned off the comments on this too. So maybe he's changing some of his views too. But let's go to this other one, and then we'll get out of here today. And thanks, guys, for checking this out. Like I said, press the what's up? How you doing? Peace, salam, falaha. Hopefully, am I pronouncing that correctly? And peace out to. And what I want to do is I want to touch base on this other situation. I want to touch base on this guy before we head out. There's another guy. This guy. This particular guy. Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. We want to touch on this. Let me share the screen here. All right, so this guy, I just came across this guy, and maybe YouTube algorithm. It's interesting to me. I looked at his different FD Signifier. FD Signifier. He's got a rainbow, black, red, yellow, brown, white. Okay, interesting. I don't think I'm going to subscribe to this channel, but I just want y'all to see. This guy's got almost 500,000 subscribers with 56 videos. His videos must be awesome, right? Look at his videos. What is the subject? It's just interesting to me. I guess a lot of people like this. They play about raping slave masters. He's got why is there in between? His stuff ain't really all that, but you know, it's non-threatening. It's not really that serious. Okay, this stuff is not really. I mean, it's a nice little channel. So this is a channel that you can get a bunch of views on. But, you know, oh my God, look at this. Why we need to end the myth about gay agenda to destroy black men. Oh my God. She didn't even want to kill. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not going to even click that video. I got to. Let's see.
Welcome. I'm Feek the Signifier.
This is the reason why. Let's see how many views this one got. All right, so he got 10 minutes. The Wonder Years. He's going to defend the gay agenda. Okay. I'm not listening to that. I'm not going to waste my time. All right, let me go to the video that triggered me. So here. Here's this guy.
It's about who I talk about on.
This guy, he wants to talk about Minister Farrakhan. Ain't radical enough or some kind of weird. So I was kind of going off on him. Let me go to some of my comments here. All right. Farrakhan is black mainstream unless you are a integrationist. I'm just like, this man's got 500,000 people. And that's fine, but they're probably non-productive people. So let's look at this. He wants to go off on...
The young guy.
All right. I'm trying to find a certain spot on here. Let me see. Yeah, he spends a lot of time talking to people, talking to this chick is from the Hill. This guy is another hater. I mean, they're just sitting up there talking, which is fine to talk because that's what I'm doing right now. But you're talking about a doer as if you're anywhere on his level. But, you know, they pretend like Malcolm X is their hero, who they would have hated. They would have hated Malcolm X because he was doing business. All right, and I'm going to let y'all listen to some of his stuff. This guy here, this Black Power media guy, I can't stand him. Let's listen to this commentary.
Always ask, why do I like what I like and how do I know what I know? I encourage people to constantly open themselves up to what is left of them politically. to engage from whatever background they see themselves as identifying with the radical traditions that are in those communities.
All right, so radical, what is he talking about? They just put a lot of words together that's not really saying a thing. They're not really saying anything. So here we go. Now let's listen to this part. This is when he starts talking about Farrakhan. And he should have took this advice.
All you scared to death Negroes.
This here is an insult because he's trying to get, I don't know why he picked these colors. Is this like a rainbow type of, anyway, let's keep going. He said that Minister Farrakhan is a distraction. Okay. To distract you from what and who?
Just sit down.
All right, so we are outside in a secluded area where it is hopefully safe for me to break the rules about who I talk about on this channel. I am quite confident that some people are already about to hit the comment section or just click off the video outright. Peace to you all. For everyone else that wants.
Dude, this dude, scared, but anyway, just say what you got to say. But anyway, I understand. The minister told you scared to death Negroes to just sit down and shut up. Don't come out and defend our enemy. Whatever.
He's beat colon cancer 3 times and he hasn't slowed down yet. Louis Farrakhan is a legend for a lot of reasons that should be appreciated. Farrakhan has fed and housed and inspired Black people in America and around the world, really, for nearly 60 years.
Okay, so the thing is, too, the minister does things like that, but that's not, he's teaching people how to house themselves. He's not here to house and feed people as if he's the welfare office. He's teaching people how to do these things for themselves and their own families.
He has shaped the Black political imagination and ostensibly carried on a lot of radical traditions. I'm not going to act like I didn't grow up near a lot of NOI people who were amazing people to grow up around. I've had men in the NOI who were always around to provide guidance and warmth when I was growing up. The NOI has done a lot for Black people, and I am not denying that as I get further into the critiques in this section.
So shut up there. But anyway, let's go to the stuff that he's going to actually say. Because he starts off with crap. He starts off blowing smoke up. But then he wants to try to, he tries to, basically, he's very disrespectful. He defends the Jews in this.
Black man, Mr. Yakuban, bitter toward Allah now, decided as revenge to create upon earth a devil race, a bleached out white race of people. From his studies, the big head scientist knew that Black men contained 2 germs, black and brown.
Critique these issues among Black and Jewish people. The problem is that the person often leading that critique has been Louis Farrakhan, but instead of leading it with analysis on economics and urban issues, it's mostly been just lazy conspiracy theories that go back to the protocols of Zion.
It is now becoming apparent that there were many Israelis and Zionist Jews in key roles in the 9/11 attack.
Farrakhan's anti-Semitism speaks so loudly that it makes it impossible for others with better takes and better frames of analysis on the issue to speak up. His constant anti-Semitic nonsense has influenced many fringe Black political ideologies.
Look how he's just defending. See, this is what I don't like about some of these guys. They sit up there, they pretend like they're being, we're just critiquing and we're just being, objective. But you can't, that critique only goes towards the Black way. The Black people have to lose in your critique all the time. You're saying that Farrakhan is anti-Semitic, but we show this telling us that the buy Black, if we tell people to buy Black, that's anti-Semitic. And you can find this in Tennessee, the Nashvilleian, Tennessee newspaper. It's still there. So I don't know what people are talking about. You know, these people, when you're trying to do something for your own group, you're running into people who are already getting your money. They don't want to change the status quo because they're benefiting. So they're going to try to stop you. They're going to try to keep you at bay. You know, so what's the problem? Of course, he's going to have to go up against these people
that have sadly in recent times escaped to the surface due to folks like Ye and Kyrie Irving bringing what have always been fringe ideologies to the forefront through their celebrity status. And I'm repeating fringe for a couple of reasons. One, because I know some of these dudes are going to watch the video and they're going to respond, explain how this is me showing my alignment to white liberals, completely ignoring the fact that Black people, the whole of Black American culture, has always satirized and comedically characterized.
That is not the whole of Black culture. That is a paid TV show this man is talking about. These are caricatures that are done for funny. This doesn't satirize the Black Power movement. Well, it's just after it's over. See, what they did in the 60s, the Black Power movement was out to deliver benefits for the people. They doped everybody out with drugs, and then in the 80s and 90s, they made fun of it so that you would look at your freedom fighters as a joke. And that's what this guy is trying to do right now.
Black people, the whole of Black American culture, has always satirized and comedically characterized these types of dudes, the weird way they come off, their ridiculous conspiracy theories. And
see, he's like a ridiculous conspiracy theory. This is another cult talk. When you can't deal with what's being said and what's the people are proving their points. And people without proof for their points, they are the ones that lose the debate. They get argued off the stage. So, you know, I don't know what folks like this is talking about. So, I mean, I just wanted to go out here with some of this stuff. This guy, he disrespects Marcus Garvey in here. He disrespects Bill Cosby. He doesn't like Bill Cosby. He goes off on Minister Farrakhan. He hates Bill Cosby. Even though the proof that Bill Cosby's out of jail, he still says Bill Cosby raped everybody that the white people say he raped. And then he doesn't like Jay-Z. He calls Jay-Z a capitalist. Hold on. And but at the same time too, this is what's interesting about this though. He claims that and then he goes off talking about the Nation of Islam members killed Malcolm X. But he ignores the fact that even Malcolm X's daughters don't believe that anymore. And that these people were government agents, straight up.
Cover up that, you know, we don't know exactly who killed Malcolm.
See, he wants to leave that confused. You know that Farrakhan didn't kill Malcolm X. He actually sits up here and tries to insinuate and play a game like Minister Farrakhan actually did that.
Malcolm X, and he probably did it with the feds. Y'all.
He got the nerve to say Minister Farrakhan, you know, had something to do with Malcolm X's death, and he probably did it with the feds. But you sitting up here caping for the feds. Weirdo.
Oh, and we don't know this for a fact, but we do know that the men who were initially arrested and convicted of Malcolm X's murder were NOI members, but they also themselves were recently released. And
see, excuse me, sorry about that. NOI members, but they were released because they were lied on by the feds. And Minister Farrakhan already said that these men were innocent, completely innocent. For decades, he said those men were innocent.
Now the Shabazz family, Malcolm X's children and grandchildren, are suing the CIA, the FBI, and a bunch of other.
He didn't also say that there was a government agent from one of those agencies, the FBI, who was a whistleblower and wrote a little book about his complicity and how he, in the feds and the boss police, killed Malcolm X. That's what happened. That's what they were sitting there doing this press conference for. And this guy knows it. But Mr. Farrakhan is wrong and something's wrong with him. This is what's so idiotic about these guys. They look like idiots to me nowadays, but I guess they think that they're going to always win because they got white people's money. He even disrespects Marcus Garvey.
Possibly the worst possible way. The Nation of Islam has roots in Garveyism, i.e. the teachings of Marcus Garvey, who was a prominent black political figure of the early 1900s and one of several ideological nemesis of W.E.B. Du Bois.
So he was a nemesis ideologically to W.E.B. Du Bois. So basically this guy wants to pit W.E.B. Du Bois, who I love, against Marcus Garvey, who I love. He wants to make them just like Alex Haley tried to set up extra beef between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, even though they were very close in their thinking as time went on. This is how we know where this stuff is coming from. And this is why I look at somebody like this who pretend like they're being radical with 500,000 subscribers on a YouTube platform with only 56 videos. He's got more subscribers than Tariq Nasheed, but we don't even know who the heck this guy is hardly. Nobody knows who this guy is in the political realm as far as black production going on and things going on the streets. He's got more than double the followers of Tariq Nasheed, but these followers must be just pathetic. They're not doing anything.
Garvey himself has a lot of issues and is probably the core source for much of the fringe black political movements that exist today. When I say that...
So Marcus Garvey is the source of the fringe black political movements. All right, so, this is not Marcus Garvey. He doesn't like Marcus Garvey. Let's see. And he's got the nerve to try to say that Minister Farrakhan is taking the shine away from Kwame Ture.
To somehow connect to these black radical traditions, Kwame Ture is right there. There is and was no greater resource on the black power tradition and Pan-Africanism than Kwame Ture, and he didn't die until 1998. While Farrakhan was singing Calypso, Ture was marching with Martin Luther King. While Farrakhan was engaging in activities that resulted in the murder of Malcolm X, Ture was debating the future of black power with Fred Hampton. And as Farrakhan rose to quasi-celebrity status and gained federal contracts for his security force and toured the world and the country with lavish accoutrements and big Steve Harvey suits, Kwame Ture was still struggling to try to keep his mission alive, even as many of his friends and peers were murdered or jailed or exiled. He remained and spoke where he could on the legacy of Pan-Africanism and how all these black leaders from around the world fought and won liberation and started socialist projects all throughout Africa. And to many, this seminal figure is relatively unknown.
First off, Kwame Ture and Minister Farrakhan were friends. Kwame Ture and Minister Farrakhan were at events together. The FOI looked after Kwame Ture. He stayed in the Nation of Islam's properties in Africa. He he was doing his thing. He had caught cancer, and we had to investigate that because that was weird. And that's when the minister caught cancer as well. But the minister survived the cancer. Kwame Ture did not survive the cancer. Okay? Kwame Ture lost his battle with cancer with the it was the prostate cancer in 1998. But he wants to pit Minister Farrakhan against Kwame Ture. And then he wants to act like something wrong with Minister Farrakhan having nice suits, not struggling financially. There's something wrong with that. This is what this nutcase wants. He wants the minister to be struggling financially. This is how stupid these people are. What an idiot. And then he plays this little somber music.
Lavish accoutrements and Big Steve Harvey suits, Kwame Ture was still struggling to try to keep his mission alive, even as many of his friends and peers were murdered or...
So, I mean, how is that Minister Farrakhan's fault? This is what I'm saying. And the same friends that was murdered from Kwame Ture, those are Minister Farrakhan's friends too. This guy's an idiot. I can't stand dummies like this. But this is what YouTube gives extra, which is normal. I'm not saying nothing bad about YouTube. YouTube is doing their job. YouTube and all the social media platforms, because they're trying to promote what they want you to hear. And then they want to kind of suppress what they don't want you to hear. But, we got to look at this kind of stuff. The idiots like this don't deserve, they probably, they don't even deserve to talk without an adult being there to make sure that they say the right thing. I'll say it that way. Because they're too dishonest. They're shills.
Really mentioned in schools. There's no pictures of him with rappers. He's never even been depicted as being a part of the civil rights movement in the many civil rights.
He was in human rights. He was a Pan-Africanist. He didn't care nothing about that stuff. Now, I'm going to show this clip of Kwame Ture. Now, this guy, he acts like Kwame Ture is the hero, which he is. Kwame Ture is a good guy. I liked him. I always liked him. But this guy doesn't deserve to esteem Kwame Ture, because Kwame Ture, he told the Jews what they were about too. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. He's mad. Okay.
Is fine. The only way that we can move our culture.
Hold on. This guy doesn't like Jay-Z either. He dissed Bill Cosby. Let's find out where he dissed Jay-Z at. One of these places. All right. So let me do this black capitalist.
Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master, good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter?"
It's always white people lighting the matches. That said, the riot is the voice of the unheard, especially for people who lack real political power and where the people with power are not listening. The mayor at the time seemed to know this, and to her credit, she mostly took the side of the people as much as any politician might in the moment. But this had a ripple effect. The police retaliated by catching the...
All right, I ain't got time for all of that. The other thing I wanted to play, what's going on, guys? Yeah, press the thumbs up, share. This is like a long one, but I just wanted to get some of this stuff out. We just were going over some of this stuff. I didn't want to play too much of this guy's video because I didn't want him to get a strike, try to get a strike. But we touched on, some of the confusing parts of this religion, the cults. These are people, the cult calling another cult, the cult, like they say, the pot calling the kettle black. It's stupid. So we touched on this thoughts, camera, action guy. We also touched on this F signature, whoever this dude is. He got 500,000 subscribers, and nobody knows in the black community really knows who the hell he is. We don't even know who this guy is. But, he's out there, a shill, and he's attacking Minister Farrakhan Marcus Garvey and Bill Cosby. And he pretends like he likes, and they hooked up with all of this, The Hill and all these folks here. I want to play this here because he kind of messed up Kwame Ture. And I want to fix Kwame Ture because this guy doesn't deserve to claim Kwame Ture. Because this guy's out here defending the Jews and stuff. He's out here defending the Jews. He's out here pretending like he doesn't like capitalists. Like Jay-Z is a capitalist. Jay-Z is not. I just want y'all to hear this. I'm just going to let y'all listen. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get to that one point. We'll do it this way. All right. It's not really where I wanted to be, but so this was a show, Black Journal, Tony's Journal. A lot of classic moments in this. But right now, I want to play this portion because this is going to show us, he claims like he's cool with Kwame Ture. And so he claims he wants to...
panel, we attempted to bring
Jay-Z and business people are some sort of evil just because they make money or... this here... Sutton, he was the attorney for Betty Shabazz. And of course, that's Fannie Lou Hamer. All right, hold on. Trying to get to this one point. They was having discussions on how to solve black problems, the same things we doing now. Okay, I think it's right after this guy. All right, right here.
Interest at heart and not going to commit the time and the energy that is necessary to design programs to deal with blacks, then we are never going to get the kind of response from the federal government that we need. And I think that this is very important because these fellows up there are more concerned about stashing suitcase full of money. In fact, the $2 million and $4 million that they're stashing away now, that money can be going into the black community helping to deal with some of the problems.
And we can say this, we can literally play this same episode right now today because they kept us in a time loop. But that's not the point here. Listen to this next guy. He is a capitalist.
And I think that
the next guy thinks he's a capitalist, but he's a businessman.
Until we began to focus on these kind of situations, that we were going to be missing many of the basic points.
Stoker, you've been trying. Okay. Go ahead.
I yield to the elder statement, my elder brother, the business sector of our community.
So just get that right there. First off, it was Stokely's turn, but he yielded to the business sector brother of the community. So let's listen.
Well, one of the things that I keep hearing here, and I think you'd have to agree, would be that the capitalistic system in America is the system that we have to deal with, and the problem with it is that we don't have any blacks operating in it. I wonder if we would have the same kind of feeling about the capitalistic system if we were the capitalists and somebody else was sitting outside. I think we would begin then.
I would be against it.
I think that, well, Stokely says he'd be against it, and
Angela can't wait to talk.
Somebody is exploiting me. I don't care whether he's white or black or red or yellow. As long as he's doing the exploiting, there's something basically wrong. It's
difficult, really, to say that that people haven't been damaged by the free enterprise system in this country. The failure of our cities is probably a direct result of the failure of the free enterprise system to do something about it. When big business begins to move out and leave poor people to solve the problems of poor people, then you've got a failure.
Wait a minute, you can't, I'm sorry,
all right.
but you can't talk about free enterprise because there's no such thing as free enterprise. Capitalism in this day and age is monopoly capitalism.
So let's listen to what she's saying, because this is what capitalism is. See, this businessman, he thinks business, they're talking about business, regular, fair, free enterprise business, getting a product, creating something and selling that product to solve a problem, and developing something and selling it, doing trade, commerce. That's not capitalism. Okay, we've been taught that that's capitalism. Just because Jay-Z makes music, Jay-Z is a business person. He's creating products. He makes products that people find useful, and he sells those products, and he gets a small amount of what he generates, and he gets to keep it. And it just so happened that, and then he does other stuff with it, but he's not doing monopoly just because he's $1 billion man, just because he has $1 billion.
It is controlled by multi-billion-dollar firms, multinational firms. It's controlled by the people like Rockefeller and Hughes and DuPont. Now, there's a real difference.
Same families today. These are the same families. This is what, this is why a lot of us don't understand. This is what, I don't know if this weirdo, he claims, anyway. Listen to what Angela Davis, and she can't talk like this nowadays.
Difference between those folks and the black man or woman who decides to open up a grocery store on the corner. That is not capitalism. But Richard Nixon has been trying to convince us that all we have to do is to get a little grocery store on the corner, and then all of a sudden we're black capitalists.
Well, if that's what Richard Nixon says, and I disagree with him, I'm not interested in small business as in those constructs, because it's amazing when somebody says business and the person who's black is talking about it, immediately it conjures up a little corner drugstore or grocery store or something. I wonder why it doesn't conjure up General Motors for me.
It's not possible for you.
Well, I don't know whether it is or not. I guess I'll quit working if you're convinced that that's true. But I look at all the people around here, and we've got some organizational petitions that kind of keep us from operating together to change the system that we're also convinced ought to be changed. When I ride in an airplane and look down, and I see everybody protecting their turf. The National, this is protecting this turf. These are all black groups. Anything national is black, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the National Association of Funeral Directors, the National Insurance Association, they're all black. The white ones are all American.
It's white.
The white ones are all American. I don't know how that happens.
That's because we know our nationalism.
Well, but the point I make is when I look down from an airplane and I see each one of us as organizational heads protecting our turf, I said, what the heck? We aren't protecting our turf, it's their turf. We don't have any turf. So if we don't finally come together to get a piece of the turf, then we aren't going to have any turf to protect. And I think it is possible, if we begin to talk about ways of changing that.
Stokely and then Nelson.
Well, I think that the real question is that people are not clear on capitalism because capitalism is a very vicious system. But what it does is it embroideries its viciousness with all sorts of elusive terms. For example, many of us would support capitalism because we actually believe that in a capitalist system, there's a chance for us to get the same amount of money as Rockefeller gets, because we're told that under capitalism there is equality of opportunity. So that we feel that if this year we didn't make as much as Rockefeller made, then we got to work a little bit harder, and next year we're going to make it. But if we carefully examine a capitalist system, we will see that it's based on exploitation, because the viciousness of capitalism, and the reason why once black people examine it, we can never be for it, is that under a capitalist system, the fruits of those who labor are enjoyed by somebody else. That is, those who do the laboring, the fruits of their labor, they don't enjoy it. As a matter of fact, we could say under capitalism that the fruits of the labor of the toiling masses are enjoyed by those who do not labor. And again, as black people, we have clear examples of it.
So that's the reason why when you're looking at somebody with Steve Harvey or Minister Farrakhan or even a Jay-Z, we know them because of their works. They've been out there doing things. Steve Harvey struggled, get on stage. He made him some jokes. He did all these tours. He works on the radio. He does this. He creates his suit line. He creates his books. He makes things. He makes things. Minister Farrakhan goes out, teaches people. He creates videos, lecture series. He creates systems. He goes out, advocates for people. He creates training programs to solve certain problems in the neighborhood that a lot of people don't take the time to solve. And he inspires other people and continues to do these tours. This is work. This is efforts. Even Jay-Z, they're creating their music. They're creating business systems. They're financing stuff that needs to be financed, that should be financed. That's not what Rockefeller and them are doing. What Rockefeller are doing is they taking the money away from Jay-Z. They owning your name. They just buy Prince's name and they make all the money. And Prince has to change his name and go through a whole bunch of stuff just to get the resources that he worked for and developed and created. They'll take, a company's name or your home. They'll, just do some bank little playing games and change the interest rate here or there. And that's how they make their money. So, this is the thing that we just need to understand. I just wanted to put that out there. These people, they criticize, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they can't really take a real conversation with someone on the other side of them, because that's why they cut their comments off. Comments are turned off because they can't deal with it. TCA turns his comments off all the time because he says stupid stuff. So, and sometimes sometimes you think these people are paid by the enemy. Sometimes they're just dumb. Sometimes they're just dumb. So, that's pretty much it today. Thanks for anybody listening. Share it. Hopefully these babies don't try to put a little, how if you show some of their content, they'll try to put a thing, like you copyright infringe them, even though they're stealing from everybody else's video. But copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976, we allowed fair use. Okay, the use. I didn't show you a whole program. I just did a little fair use program, just like you do. Actually, less than TCA, because TCA he'll show everybody stuff. I did want to show this too in this book that TCA highlighted. Well, Dr. Mumbi giving out. Oh, excuse me. I did want to show this here. This is how I would disprove something. Now, this is this book. All right, so this Black Root Science, right? Mondi Mocho. Second edition. It just goes right in, starts talking. It says, The Earth and solar system created 78 trillion years ago. Now, this here, a person from the Nation of Islam would immediately recognize this language. And so as soon as I hear this language, I already know that comes from where? What's your source of this? You getting this from teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so I'm going to reference that because it's been around longer than what this book has been around. That's just how I would do it. Now, if this book is more correct than what those teachings are, now what they do is add more detail that wasn't said. And this is also what I know Malachi York did. He would take the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and he would add his stuff into it as well and try to like buff it up because they thought it was a game anyway, you know. So anyway, they go into this and then they put some of the stuff in the Bible too. They mix it all in. All right, so it goes there. And I just went through some of it. I mean, he just repeats. And some of the stuff you can't verify. They just say stuff, you can't really argue, no foundation. But this right here, this is how you know that this is not really, because it actually, right here, this is where we directly contradict the source, the earlier source. So now this guy would have to prove that his wisdom is more supreme than the supreme wisdom that this is patterned off of. Because here, okay, so here we got, this guy says that, let me go backwards once. He said, basically that every black person, anyway, he says they established it by watching it, leaving their divine unity in which they existed for over 1 trillion years. They did this in order to bring new life to the world. At the same time, in order to ensure continuity of eternity, these same 1,800,000,000 original gods continue to incarnate in the new people. They reside in the unconscious part of the person's mind, and they are called the mind of God, or the divine gift of ancestral memory, or what modern people call the Spirit of God. Thus, every black person, even though he or she was born brand new, is simultaneously one of the 1,800,000,000 original gods. Only the personality is new. The spirit is old, even eternal. Okay. The 1,800,000,000 original people all withdrew from the divine unity except 24 people, 12 men and 12 women. That's another red flag. It didn't really say that it was but okay, we can't really debate that yet. It says 12 kings, 12 queens, 24 elders, okay, who are 12 gods, who are really 12 gods. Now, in the lessons, it is actually 24 scientists, but we can call them gods of science. Now, God is not what y'all been taught is God. It is not the supreme being God, the creator of the originator of the heavens and the earth God. These are people who have so much wisdom of the supreme being that power resides in them. So they are reflections of the original God. And so just like the Bible tells you, you're children of the Most High God. You are gods. Okay, you are gods. Okay, and that's good. Okay, so in that manner. But here they say these are couples, and then he kind of changes the teaching right there. That's where they really change it. Now, he changed it before, but this right here is blatant. It's just clear. It's just right here is just completely made up. So if this is more true, so this goes directly in contradiction because it's 24 majors, it's a 12 major, 12 minor scientists. And the tiebreaker basically is the Allah in person. Okay. So this is the Council of Elders. You'll see this in Revelations 24. There's references in biblical references. There's references in the exalted assembly in the Quran. So this is where this language is coming from. And there's other stuff too. But here, and he goes into this, divided into these clans, and he says what he says here. Okay, so this was the basic organization of the Black nation established by the original gods of the first earth. When other earths were completed and settlers sent them, this organization was repeated and remains as the divine form of queendom on every inhabited earth throughout the universe. That is another direct conflict of the teaching, because the teachings show that before the 66 trillion years ago, moon separating from this part of the planet was 35,000 miles in circumference, and that the history was made in advance from that, based on that. So, and that's where the 24 was based on, the circumference of the planet. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks for listening, and I am out of here. Peace out, guys. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, put them down. Peace.